Hey guys, Alan from VExpressions here. Today I want to go over importing TD-12, 20, and 20X files into your TD-30. Let's get started. So in recent weeks, I've gotten more emails about importing 12, 20, and 20X files into the 30. People get excited, they get their new module, TD-30, and they have expansions from days gone by. They want to get those into the 30. They think it's easy, they don't read, and they do things that gets them all confused and ends up resulting in an email coming to me. They're basically just skipping easy steps, or they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. And I'm going to go through all that today to hopefully clarify all this and make it much easier. And hopefully for those of you that are thinking about upgrading to the 30 will get some help out of this. By the way, if you have one of the older modules and you've been thinking about upgrading, right now is a great time to grab a 30 because they've been discontinued. There's some new ones still out there at a great price. And a lot of people are offloading them for 50s and Pearl Mimics. So you can pick up a 30 at a really good price. You can use your expansions from us if they come from the 12, 20, or 20X. All those will work with the 30. And of course, we offer TD-30 expansions as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Real quick, I wanted to show you an example download. This is not an actual download. I just created this for the demonstration, but it contains 4 main files I want to show you. There's a SysEx version for old TD-12 expansions. Those are no longer available to download. Well, I take that back. When you get a 20 expansion, if you have a 12 and you buy a 12, it comes with the 20 conversion already in it. Sometimes it comes with a 30 conversion in it as well. It just depends on when we did it, when it was released, and so forth and so on. But anyway, the TD-12 backup file, SysEx file, the naming for those really doesn't matter very much because it's being sent from the computer or a external source anyway. The names for the other 3 files do matter a lot. I'm just showing you the 30 just so you can see what the file format looks like. But the 20 and the 20X, which is actually TDW2 backup 01. Those 2 file formats are very important. You have to use this type of file format, which we're going to go through all this. And finally, you get a quick start guide with your module, whether it be the 30 or just be our default quick start guide. In the case of the 50, you get the 50 with that. And we provide the steps in the manuals as well. We're going to be going through the general quick start guide. It's a condensed version that has all the instructions for everything, including importing. So we're going to go through that. I'm going to use this one up here that I highlighted for the tutorial today. We're going to skip the first couple of pages, and we're going to look down here where I've started to highlight. Some things are just going to be reminders, safeties, if you will. And that very first one being that you will overwrite anything on your module during a load or an import. Just keep that in mind. So, which brings us to the second one. We highly recommend that you back up your module's current state. That will include your setup data. That's pad tweaks. That's percussion sets, patterns, you name it. It's all that stuff. And your personal modifications to any kits that you've done. If you've done some pad tweaking, I would highly recommend, I highly recommend you backing up your module, even if you haven't done anything. Number one, it will create all the folders that you need. But number 2, it does keep your pad tweaks, pad setup, and any changes you've made to any kits whatsoever. Let's go ahead and go to the next page. Again, another important reminder here that if you're going to format a memory device, in this case being USB, just be sure that you recognize it's going to erase whatever's on there, or it possibly will. I want to say that I formatted something a long time ago and it actually did not erase. All it did was create the folders. And if the folders were there, it left what was in them alone. But I'm not 100% sure of that. It's just been so long since I've done that. Just know that if you have a new stick, you do want to format it. But if you've been using a stick with your new 30, or you've made a backup, then most likely your folders are there ready to go. So you may just want to take the stick to the computer, see what's on it, see if it's good, see if you have the Roland folder inside that, the TD-30 folder inside that, the backup and import folder. Those are what we're going to be working with today. Next section, make a backup of your Roland data. That's what we just said. After formatting, or if you already have a stick working and everything, before you do anything, just go ahead and go back it up. Let's go ahead and skip a couple pages. By the way, for backing up, I did include the steps now. As of yesterday, I updated this manual to include the 50. I think the 25 wasn't there before, and the 17 wasn't there before, and I cleaned up some of the other ones. But all the steps for everything you need. Basically, this is the Roland instructions. They're just condensed so that you can just read line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're done. Moving on, section 2, preparing and copying your expansion USB. Now, this is more about loading because this is a quick start guide for everybody, but I do want to point out some things here. The TDO files are what we're focusing on today. With the TD-12s, we're going to swap those from SciStex to TDOs with the vDrumlib app. And so that's why I wanted to highlight that. Anytime you get a download from us, just simply drag the contents to your desktop. Sometimes we provide a folder that you can pull out so you don't have to make a new folder. But you guys all handle things different ways. Some of you like to just drag all the files out individually. Some of them like to put it in a folder. Some of them like to leave them in the zip and work out of the zip, which is what I do because I don't need all those extra folders. A reminder that your Roland modules will only recognize expansion or backup files under very specific circumstances, and I'm going to go into that right now. The first being that the original TDO must be named properly for the data that's contained to be recognized by the module. What does that mean? Well, let's look right here at TD-12 or 20X and 20. You'll see these two names are different. Your files from your modules or our backups, our expansions, they have to have the proper name. Now, we've provided that for you, but if you're working with files on your end, you need to ensure that whatever that is, it still retains the same correct name. You can't change the numbers, which we'll talk about in a moment, but the name has to be the same or the module will not see it. So another reminder right after that is if you rename any file to another module's name format, it will produce errors. This is the first problem I see in the emails I get about importing to the 30. And that is they rename the file because somewhere they see they can rename a file and they just go and rename it. You can't just rename a file. You can renumber a file, and you especially cannot rename like a TD-20 file as a 30 file and then just try to load it. The module will choke on the data that's in what it thinks is a 30 file, which is actually 20 data. There's extra data it's looking for in that 30 that's not there. So that's why that doesn't work. Moving on to number 2, the file must be located in the correct folder on your memory device. Now, these locations we're talking about in this section are for loading original content designed for your module. So again, this is the default quick start guide. This is going through in order. When you buy something and you want to load it, it's taking you in that order. That's why I put this next note here. If you need to import 20X data to the 30, please see section 4 for the proper folder locations for importing. So this section here is actually just showing you where a typical expansion file or backup file goes so that your module will see and understand it. And most of them are all going to be the same. You're going to have a Roland. Whether you have an SD card or USB card on other modules, whatever it is, they're mainly going to be Roland and in your module, TD-50, 30, etc., and in a backup folder. Now, some of the older ones, which is actually the 20 and 20X we're working with today, you'll find your backups in Roland TD folder. Just TD, actually, I think is what it says, on a CF card. And then the newer modules, again, 17, 15, 11, those are all the same as the 50, 30, 25. And I won't go into the rest. But anyway, next section is you can renumber. Like I mentioned before, you can renumber the file to save yourself some scrolling when you want to load. This goes for loading or importing if you don't want to scroll that much. Scrolling meaning with the wheel or plus and minus, up and down. So I would highly recommend just getting in the habit of using low numbers. If we provide you a file that has like number 99, Chris likes to use 99 from time to time. If you find that file has 99, you can rename that to number 2 right behind your personal backup, 02, and it'll be right there. So you just scroll one click and there it is. So final reminder is change only the number. The remaining portion of the name must remain the same to be recognized by the module. I can't say that enough times. If you name the file wrong, the module will either choke on it, not see it, or a whole host of issues. Let's go to the next page. This is still under loading, but I wanted to point out just to remember that you are overriding anything. And this is actually new here. I wanted to add that if you've got pad tweaks, Obviously, if you got customized kits, you want to do a backup. But if you got pad tweaks you want to carry into an import file or with new kits to a new backup you want to create in VDrumLib, this section is to remind you that VDrumLib is out there and it's wise to have it. So let's say you have a TD-20, you just got your 30 upgraded or upgraded to the 30, and you want to bring some TD-20 expansions you got from us to the 30, but you also want to bring your pad tweaks. I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to need VDrumLib to do it. Well worth the $20, but it does come with a 30-day trial. I believe it's 30 days. Move down another page, and we get finally to our importing section, which is the focus of this video. I'll just read it for you. The TD-30 is capable of importing 20X, TD-30, and 20 backups and expansions. Now, the reason I didn't mention the 12 here is because the 12 cannot be sent directly to the 30 through any type of MIDI importing. That's not capable or not possible. What you have to do is use VDrumLib to convert it to a 20 or 20X and then import it on the 30. Now, with our 12 versions, which are actually now our 20 versions, you do get the 12 and the 20. So you will have a 20 file. However, if you bought something from us long, long ago that was made just for the 12 or originated on the 12 or whatever, you got the file where all you have is 12 SciSecs, then you're going to want to do this conversion, conversion process I'm about to do. And so ensure your files are properly named and original data is located properly inside the import folder. And this is all under importing. And then finally, I highlighted the 3 steps. I know this number's off here, but I highlighted the most important 3 steps that people miss all the time. This is actually where they don't read. They miss the import button. They usually use loading, and it won't be found under loading. You have to import. You have to use the importing button. If they don't make it to the import button, then they don't see the next one, which is choose the correct file type. If you have the name wrong, or you have like a 20X name on a 20 file, it's not going to load it. If you have the right name on the right file, but you don't go to import, you're not going to see it. If you have the right name on the right file and you go to import, but you choose the wrong type, it will say there's an error. So you have to make sure you know what the original data is, that it has the right name, and that you use import, and that you use the right choice in choosing that file, the correct data file. Once you've done all that, you will see it as long as you do the final step, which is scrolling. Use the upper plus or minus buttons, this is Roland's directions, to select the backup number. I just scroll with the wheel, but basically stated, that means if you have a backup that is numbered 09 and you have 01 as your personal backup, when you go to import, or I'm sorry, well, in import, you actually would not see your backup. What you'll see is that there's no data. You have to scroll to the number of that file or you won't see it. So it won't magically just appear if you don't have it as 01. If you have it as 01 and it's the only folder in that import folder, you'll see it. But if you name it, by coincidence, 10 or whatever, you're not going to see it. And that's it for the Quick Start Guide. So I've covered everything, and I'm going to show you everything, but let's go ahead and do some conversions real quick because we're going to need those when we get to the module. So what I have here is 2 versions of VDL open. Just call them VDrumLib VDL for short. I want to show you that if you're trying to convert a 20 or 20X, actually let me go ahead and grab the 20X file here, drag that out, and I'll go ahead and drag my 12 file here. And now we've got everything out to work with. I'm not going to worry about the 30 file. But what I do want to show you is that when you select TD-30 in VDrumLib and you try to bring something in, it's not going to do it. VDrumLib will not convert from any of these formats to a 30. Not sure why. I think it's a massive update, but it's not getting done. So it will not convert from any of those formats directly to the 30. You have to import with the module. So that's why I have the second window open here. We're going to first start with our TD-12 SciSecs because that's the one that you're going to have to import or have to convert if you want to import a SciSecs file. And the SciSecs is all you have. Let's just say it's your personal SciSecs backup from your module to the computer. If you want to get that into your new 30, you're going to have to take this, drop it in. Well, first of all, let me tell you that choose a drop down here, either 20X or 20. It doesn't matter. Just like I showed you, you can't go directly to 30. So we're going to go with 20 just to keep it simple. I will drop in my 12 and it will ask me if I want to convert it. And yes, I do. You can check this to see if anything doesn't line up the way you do it. This is all pretty default, which we do everything default. So I'll go ahead and hit convert. You'll see now that I have probably 50 kits. Yeah, 50 kits from my TD-12 backup that I'm going to add to the right side. This is my new library on the right. So now I have these 50 kits. They've been converted from a TD-12 SysEx to the TD-20 format, and they are ready to go. Here's the important part, making sure the name is correct. First, I'm going to go ahead and hit save. I'm going to give this a temporary name at the moment. Just temp.tdo. Now up here at the top, I have temp TDO, but I know I need to name it like this 20 file. It's a 20 version. Keep this in mind. Here's where people mess up and get the wrong name put. This is a 20 we changed it to, so I need to use this one as an example. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to highlight that, paste it. Sorry, I copied the first one, by the way. But I'm going to change that last digit to like a 2, because now I have 2 of those. Okay, so now I have this. We'll just say this was my personal backup from a 20, which that's not what we're talking about at the moment. We're talking about a 12. So you would only have this one. You could have named it 1 if you want to. And then that's the one that's going to go in your import folder. Now let's quickly do, let me show you real quick how to, let's go ahead and clear this out by just swapping to something else. Okay, let's show you how to add your pad settings. I've covered this in the VDL demonstration video. You can go check that out as well. But I'm going to show you how to add your personal pad settings to our kits ready for import. So with the TD-12, you have no pad or have no setup data in there that you can retain. So we're going to say now I have a TD-20, which is this first file up here. We're going to drag that in, and we're going to take this personal backup setup information. Sorry, I keep calling it data. We're going to add that to the right. Okay, and we'll just say that these are default kits. Ignore the names on them. Let's just say these are Roland default kits that I set up my pad tweaks. I save the backup, and it's just the default kits that are on there. Finally, I'm going to take the expansion I bought from VExpressions. We're going to use this one as an example. I know it's what we just created, but we're going to use it as an example. And I'll drop it in. Now, the names aren't going to change because I'm using this same thing over and over and over, but just pretend that these names are all new from previous. Now I would just simply select the kits and add them over. So what I've ended up with here on the right is my personal setup data along with the 50 kits from VExpressions. And now these are ready to import. So basically what I did was I just created a new backup that has my personal data with VExpressions kits. And I will save that. I don't think I'll go ahead and show all these steps. You just watched me do it with the other one. But basically, I would save it. I know that it's a TD-20 file. I'll give it a TD-20 file proper name with the number that I like at the end of it. And then that's ready to go. So finally, we can go ahead and move back over here. I will go to my USB stick. You can ignore some of this. Basically, what you will see is this Roland folder, and then you will see the TD-30 folder. I'm using this for multiple modules, so I have a lot of stuff on here. Finally, you can look at these files here. Backup is exactly that. From a TD-30, this will be where your backups are. As you can see, I have 22 of them here. But what you're going to be doing for importing is obviously going to the import folder. And in this case, we would take this one here we created, drop it right in. So now I have a TD-20 file in the backup folder. I'm sorry, in the import folder, ready to be imported on a 30. So when I go to the module and I use the proper prompts there, I will see it and import it, and it's ready to go. Now, just for giggles, we're going to add the TD-20X file here as well. What I want to do here is show you the 20X file is 1. So when I go to import the 20X version, it's going to default to slot 1, bank 1 if you will, and it will show it. However, when I choose TD-20, it's going to show me there's nothing there until I scroll. When I scroll to the second slot, then I will see it. So we'll leave this on our card just like that. We're ready to head to the module. I think I've covered everything here at the computer. It's really that simple. As long as you follow all those rules of thumb, you're good to go. Let's head to the module and finish it up. All right, we're at the module. We have our USB stick in the module, and this is a time we should probably tell you, be sure to back up your settings and pads and tweaks. So let's go ahead and get these in here. We will click USB memory and then import. And then for our first one, let's try the 20 file. It's already on bank 2, so it sees it. There's the name I saved, and number 1 has nothing, and back to 2. You can give it a custom name here if you want. Just be sure to change that when you make the file itself. Import, and then cancel if you like, or execute. I'll execute, and then we'll check the first kit here. And Brian Adams shows up. So let's go back to our USB memory and try this second one. Import TD-30X. And on bank 1 already, engineer 1. If I go to bank 2, there was no bank 2 for 20X. We'll go ahead and import that and execute it. And then we will check the kit. And there is Nickelback, the worst band in history. So let's go ahead and head back to the computer because it was really that simple. Those steps couldn't be any quicker. Hey, so that's going to do it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you got something out of it and I helped maybe find an issue you were having. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe while you're down there. We have lots of videos in the queue that are about to come out in the next few weeks. Various topics, some new expansions. Speaking of expansions, we are in development on a 25 expansion, TD-25, and we are starting development on the TD-17 expansion. So all those will be out, or those two. The 25 will probably be out in about a month or two, and the 17 will probably be out about a month or two after that. I personally am going to go back and do some more for the 50 and possibly the 30 down the road, maybe closer to Christmas. So hopefully we'll have some stuff out for that, as well as Chris is going to do some stuff for the 50 as well. I think he'll have some stuff out before Christmas. He's probably going to target some acoustic kits. So those of you that have been waiting for some straight up acoustics, some of Chris's modeling for the 50, it's coming down the road, hopefully before Christmas. Anyway, I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you come back. Bye-bye.